Hey, welcome to the show. My name is Drew Brown III. This is the Wingman Show, a show that hopes to inform, entertain, and inspire all of us to grow every day and be happy. With me is my main man, my wingman, Dr. Paul Thompson, Navy jet pilot, father, husband, great man, great wingman, airline pilot, and a doctor. Dr. Paul Thompson, how are you? Welcome to the Wingman Show.
Doing pretty good, Mr. Drew. This is Drew Brown, Dark Gable, the American Dream, the man, the myth, the legend. He's a pilot's pilot, the role model's role model, and his royal fullness. I'm doing very well. How are you today?
I'm doing great. We got a good show for you today. Paul, we're going to start off right away with this topic. Pow, 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 pow. Talking about the pow, pow, police, the police problem in this country. What has happened lately? A long time ago, my dad told me that they should change the name of all police officers to peace officers. And I won't ever forget that. It's amazing to be a black man and have a cop's blue lights come on behind you. There is a certain feeling, even if you're completely legal. I've always thought that if a man has a gun, handcuffs, and the ability to ruin your life, the best thing you should do is be very respectful just to try to get away from this situation. So I've never really had a problem with cops because I give people respect. And I also haven't probably run into one of those punk ass cops who take advantage of people. So I've been blessed that way. But there is a way to change this police problem, Paul. You see, policemen all have records. And even though they don't get in trouble for these records, every time somebody complains, every time they do something wrong, the system, they write them up. So they all have files. So if you want to get rid of the bad cops, pretty simple. Go in the files, read them, and fire them. When a cop does approach me, I promise you, like I said, I'm respectful. I'm also not doing anything wrong, so I'm not scared. And that's a big one, you know. I remember when I was doing a little something wrong, it's 10 times worse. And even if it was a fire truck, an ambulance, your heart goes right through your mouth. So, Dr. Paul, what do you think about the pow pow? Because there are great policemen, great, great, great policemen. And we have been inflicted with some of the worst that really puts a stain on the rest of them. Because policemen, all the ones that I've really come into contact that needed to helped and did very good at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've known a number of policemen who are great people, and folks have helped me. Little things on the road here and there. Never had a bad interaction with. Maybe one long time ago, actually in Queens of all places. But that was a weird thing. You run to, you can run to a knucklehead anywhere, even at your job working. Never had any real traffic problems. I remember one time I got pulled over in Florida. This is probably like 1978, 79, and I was speeding or whatever. And true enough, my speedometer, it wasn't exact. It was kind of going like left and right. And I just kind of took, it was making a noise. I didn't do anything. I kind of took the average of where it was, and I've been doing that. I was on the Florida highway. And the state patrol officer pulled me over. He said, "Hey, you going such such?" I said, "Okay." I said, "I got a bad speedometer." You know what he did? He said, "I got to give you a ticket, but here's what I suggest you do." And he gave me the name of a place that specialized in repairing speedometers on an old Chevy.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there. He said, if you take that to the judge, they may give you, cut you a break or whatever. He was very, very professional, very cool. So like at night between Daytona Beach and Jacksonville, I did that and I got it fixed. It was, I don't know, it was $75 or whatever. And I took that into the court, and it helped. And he said, okay, blah, blah, blah. I'm waiving this, waiving that, since you paid for it, but you still got to go to driving school for 2 weeks or something like that. True enough, I'll be on, maybe down the statute of limitations, right? I never went to the driving school. I was about to go out on cruise. That was my driving schools in the Mediterranean. Yeah,
Driving A7s across the enemy lines. That's what you were driving.
That's right, exactly. So I was low on my priority list. But I did get it fixed, and he did waive the fine, and it was good advice. And a few other times I've had like little tickets and things like that, but nothing dramatic. I maybe have one friend that had, maybe a a bad experience here and there. Again, I don't know any criminals. I don't hang out with criminals. That has seemed to have a lot to do with it. It helps if you're not. I think it helps a lot if you're not a criminal. Like I went out yesterday and I bought some stuff and I made it back. Now, one time, digressing slightly, Best Buy, in the parking lot of Best Buy, I met a friend, an old college friend of mine, and we were out there talking, and all of a sudden the police came up and they were just observing us. I guess they thought a drug deal was going down. It kind of looked that way. We were just talking, just shooting the breeze. I was looking at the guy, and they left, and they just kept looking till we left. Yeah, me and Carl Matthews, the drug dealers. That's something. But
I bet you if you were doing something wrong, you would have acted different, and I bet you they were trained to see that.
Probably so. Like, what are these guys doing here? Oh, here they are, kind of things. Like, yeah, okay, how you doing? What's happening? No other interactions. But again, to not excuse bad behavior, but sometimes they're on edge too. I remember one time, about a year after that, being in Panda Express with my wife, and we were getting some stuff just to go. And I see these two guys come in, and one guy I recognize, and I say, hey, how you doing? And they both look at me, and they both go like this. They're like shocked, like, oh. And I knew what was happening in the head, because these were people who were going to the same little martial arts school that I was going to, and we were actually doing some stuff, a couple weeks ago. They come in now and then, very pleasant guys. But and I said, okay, and I knew what was happening, and I said, well, how's Steve doing? And Steve was the owner of the place, and they kind of recalibrated their brains. Said, oh yeah, you're such and such. And they looked at each other and said, yeah, we knew you from. They were detectives, and we knew you from someplace. And they're worried about someone recognize them and coming at them.
Right.
It was a true story. Yeah, me and Kim kind of spooked these two detectives. So
wow,
that's a true story. That's a very true story.
I got one for you from the Atlanta airport. The Atlanta airport is crazy.
Yes.
And the cops there, they're not, and I don't want to say anything bad, but usually the police that are assigned to airports are on the lower level of street duties. I'm just explaining because
I've heard that from two sources.
A policeman has told me that.
One was a federal officer, one was a SWAT guy. Said just what you said. Separately, they don't know each other. I think that'd be the best place.
And that's just the truth. Yeah. So anyway, I was waiting on Katrina's mom, who's kind of handicapped, and I parked in a spot that I saw other cars parked in. Long story short, this idiot came over and gave me a ticket while I was sitting in the car.
I don't doubt it.
And I'm explaining to him, and he's just being an a-hole. But remember what I said earlier in the show, Paul? Right. You got a gun. You got handcuffs, right, and the ability to ruin my life.
Yeah, you have
advantage. So, yes, you always win. I'm just letting you know. I do critical thinking, Paul. I don't understand this. I don't want to get shot. I don't want to get beat up. I don't want to be handcuffed. I don't want to get put in jail. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't want any of those four things to happen to me.
Now, let me ask you quick. So, now, what year was this approximately?
Maybe 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. That's pretty recent. Okay. They got better.
Yeah.
Better. They got better.
Yeah. So anyway, he gives me this ticket. So because my daughter works for the largest law firm in the world, and I think that I helped her become an attorney, which is totally not true. But I think, my son's a spine surgeon, my daughter's an attorney. And so I think I got law in my head and medicine, which is both not true. So anyway, I went back and took pictures. I had a case set up, Paul. Remember, I'm retired. I didn't have anything else to do. Mm-hmm. I was excited to go to court. Mm-hmm. The day finally comes. Katrina comes with me. I mean, I'm like Perry Mason. I'm going to do this. I'm getting him. So we're sitting there, and it's, man, if you haven't gone to traffic court,
I have.
You should do it sometimes because it is freaking. Yeah. Now that's a show. That's entertainment for you.
Cameron had an accident, and we went to settle up. That's a show in itself. I'll talk about that. Yeah, that's a show in itself.
Right. you know, and if you can't afford to go to the movies, see if you can get into somebody's traffic court
Yeah.
because you'll be entertained.
Oh,
Anyway, so I got there and he finally called my case. The judge said, Drew Brown, the officer has not shown up. And I said, whoa, 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 wait. There's some things I need to say. He said, Drew Brown, I'm dismissing the case. I said,
no.
but wait a minute. He said, Drew Brown, if I were you, I wouldn't say another word.
Yeah, right. Don't
And
be.
then it hit me. But
Shut
I'm
up.
telling you, I was so frustrated. I couldn't
Shut
beat
up.
Perry Mason.
Right.
And I would have beat him. I know this. I had it all down. I was so like I won, but there was no joy in it. So that's
Right.
my little Popo story for Atlanta.
You know, you and this is my private thing. You talk about the Atlanta airport. Atlanta airport, it's a great airport. It's improved a lot. Okay. I had
Is it the
number.
busiest? You know, it's not the busiest airport in the world. We flew out of the busiest airport in the world in Memphis. FedEx
At
made
night, at that
Memphis
time, yes.
International Airport the busiest airport in the world.
For a period of time, yes. For between the hours of 11 and 4 or something.
Right, but I mean, just numbers.
Right. Boom,
Just
boom,
numbers.
boom, 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 boom. The airplanes are coming every
Right.
second, a few seconds. Like an interval
That
landing
would-
on an aircraft carrier. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh yeah, every minute, on the minute.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm not going to jump on the airport police because I heard people talk about them even on news radios. Why are they so? I guess the biggest thing was when they body slammed grandma one time. This was years ago. You might have heard about it.
What?
I guess someone was picking somebody up or whatever, and this elderly woman was something, and they wanted her to move quicker or something. She said something to the police. The police picked her up and body slammed her on the concrete. That's a fact. That's a fact. Fired him. He got his job back. The city owns it. I think,
There's your problem right there.
Yeah, I mean,
there's your problem right there.
She was like 80 years old or something like that. Body slammed her. She survived. To me, they'd be naming the airport after me. That'd be part of the song.
Oh heck yeah.
That'd be the minimum.
Oh, I heard a comedian say, "I'm looking for cops to come beat me."
He's got bills to pay.
He said he heard one person, Rodney King, got $10,000 for every hit. He said, I need to get some hits.
Yeah, I've been hit before for free. But I guess my funniest airport story, and this was a true one. There was one time when the family, minus me, was going on a trip to somewhere in the Bahamas. My wife, daughter, her sister, and son. Everybody's little. They got tons of stuff, and they've got a flight. It's on American, going to Miami, and it leaves at 6 a.m. That's the departure flight. This is summer day, so I get up there, get them there, run a little bit late. And I'm trying to get there like an hour before, hour and 10 minutes. So instead of getting there like right at 5, it's probably maybe 5:05. I pull up. There's not a car. There's not a car there. There's not a car there. I pull up right there into the front. I'm unloading all this junk and they've got here, and they're going in, and I'm looking one at a time. There's not a car, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Lights were flashing. You got to move that car. You got to move this car. Blah, 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 blah. You got to move the car. There's nobody here. Just the two of us. There's nobody here. It's right now. It's 5:15 maybe. I said, I'm just helping them move this stuff in here. Then I used some reverse psychology, and I said, he's ramping up and getting real stupid by the half second, getting real stupid. I said, look, these are just 3 women here. They can't move all this stuff, but if you and I move it together, we can get it done in no time.
Wow.
He stepped back and he looked at me. Like the way your dog may look at you sometimes. It looked at me. And then for a second, he said, okay, but move as quick as you can. Then he jumps in.
Let's hurry up.
Like it never happened. And he's gone. It's just me and my creativity. He
didn't help you.
No, he left because that would involve him. That's not the way the scene in the movie's supposed to go. And it totally threw him. It totally threw him, and he flew away. Literally flew away. You would never think it happened. That was years ago, and I still laugh at it. That was about 15 years
That's
ago.
very smart. You know, if you use critical thinking,
Yeah.
you can outsmart most people. And if you're nice and respectful,
It was
it's
fun.
really hard to be an a-hole to you.
Yeah.
This is what happened to me. I was driving from Memphis to New Orleans, taking the family down there on Christmas Day, and I was speeding. Now, because of all my speaking in Memphis, I was a Shelby County sheriff. I had a badge. I was a
Oh, really?
staff. I got a staff badge. Yeah,
Is that,
didn't
that's
mean
not
anything, but
legal. A friend of mine got that one. He was drinking buddies with a sheriff somewhere. He'd whip out this badge every once in a while. He called it the deputy dog badge. It got him out of a lot of
oh, I
stuff.
had,
He scared
oh, I had
people.
it. I had it. I got
People
out of a lot of
bothered him.
stuff, except this time.
Okay.
Except this time, I'm driving from Memphis to New Orleans. I was speeding. The cop pulls me over, and I have a radar detector in the car. Okay.
Okay.
So he pulls me over. He says, no, 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 no. And I said, hey, officer, how you doing? I showed him my badge. How's things going? Everything okay out here? He says, what are you showing me that for? I said, I'm just one of us. And he said, but you have a radar detector. If you have a badge, why are you breaking the law with a radar detector? Take the badge, put it back in your pocket, and here's the ticket. You know when you're wrong and you have nothing to say? You know what the best thing to do is?
Mm-mm.
Say nothing.
Right. Right. Yeah. One time I was in Memphis and I was coming home from work or whatever, and I was driving too fast. I just want to get home after a trip, and police officer pulls me over. He says, you're going a little fast. So I don't have a badge, but I was like an honorary deputy sheriff from whatever. And I had this thing in my wallet, and I pull it out and I showed it to him. And he said, that guy, he retired like about 10 years ago. He retired 10 years ago. And he laughed so much. He said, just go. He just broke into laughter. Yeah.
That's funny as heck, because my badge now, that if I show it in Memphis, this guy hadn't been sheriff in 20 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All right, Paul. Good section on Pow Pow. We're coming up to our 11 Facts in Life session. And today is a real good one. Number 4, have purpose. To me, a person who has purpose cannot be stopped. Booker T. Washington went to college in 1865 when they were hanging black people in this country. He had a purpose to learn. So when kids tell me they can't afford to go to college, I don't want to hear it. It's just an excuse. You have doctors, you have pilots, you have great people coming out of the worst schools in this country because they were motivated to learn. And you have bums who come out of the finest institutions in this country because they were not motivated to learn. I believe everybody is a LeBron James, Paul. I swear. Everybody has a certain talent. And if you go to school and you go to college and you explore and you travel like we were talking about, you may find that talent. And once you do, it's not work anymore. We got paid a lot of money to fly all over the world, stay in Paris. Remember when you, I, and Keith went to Paris for a weekend? 3 black men in a 777 multi-million-dollar jet went to Paris for a weekend.
Got a big picture of it.
Correct. Because of purpose. I had a purpose in my life, and the purpose was to make enough money where I wouldn't wind up like my parents, to make enough money with my college education. And, my dad trained Ali. And I saw something very sad, Paul. In the end, the champ stopped fighting a lot. And Daddy was still waiting on that damn phone, waiting on those phone calls, for the next fight and the next fight. And as he got older, the phone calls stopped coming. And it wasn't good because Daddy didn't prepare. Because when the champ was out of boxing for 3 years, everybody else went and got other fighters except Daddy. He stayed with the champ. But anyway, as he got older, the income stopped and it affected me real bad, both my mom and dad. And I promised myself I just wouldn't end up like that. And I didn't. And it was through their making me get an education. It was through them telling me I could do anything in the world, anything I wanted to. I knew I could be anything I wanted because of what my parents and grandparents instilled in me. So having purpose, man, if you could just find that purpose, Paul, if you could just find that purpose, like Cameron, out of all the things, he likes guns. He's motivated by it. And when you're motivated by something, you can't be stopped. That's my little 2 cents on purpose. Fact number 4, the 11 facts in life. What do you think, Paul?
I think, yeah, you got to have a purpose. You got to have, you need to want to do something, and something we should consider doing every once in a while is get uncomfortable. Try something a little bit different. Push yourself. Push yourself a little bit more. You talk about going to college. Yeah, sometimes going to college is tough. It costs way too much. That's another discussion. But there are other ways you can learn things. There are a lot of ways to things on YouTube. Some of it's bunk. Some of it's very, very good. You can look at a lifetime of things just on YouTube for free if you're willing to sit down and take the time. The biggest thing, you've got to commit to the time. Commit to the time. Find a public library. Most of that stuff is free. You can go in there. Homeless people go in there. Everybody can go in there. There's a lot of information. You just have to get out of the mindset of just playing games all the time. A lot of the game, it's easy for me to say I'm not a gamer, but your average gamer, the heart of that envelope, average gamer is the big money people. They're in their 40s, 30 in their 40s. They've been doing that a lot. If that's your thing,
That's right.
okay, that's fine. If that's an activity, but that can't be your whole life. You can't say, okay, I'm just going to play games and do nothing else and be an adult. You can't really live like that.
I was just saying, remember I said everybody's a LeBron James? Everybody has something special in them. It might not be basketball. And I love LeBron, but he's not a role model. And the only reason he's not a role model is because you can go hang with LeBron for the next 5 years and you're not going to play like him. You're a role model, Paul, because a kid could hang by you and you could teach him how to fly. You have to be attainable in order to be a role model. But all of us have that special skill. But here's the point. LeBron's special skill, he worked at. Michael Jordan, he worked at. Tiger Woods, he worked at. Who's the swimmer? Michael Phelps. Listen to this. 8 years, every day in the pool. He never missed one day. Not one day. And he won one of those medals by this much. So think of how much that other guy was working. So when kids say, yeah, I want to play in the NBA. Okay, are you shooting 500 shots a day? That's what I need to know. Are you running 2 miles in the morning? Are you eating properly? Because don't tell me you want to be an NBA player and you're eating Cheetos and drinking soda all day. Okay, they don't go together. So not only does everybody have a special skill, Paul, it was hard as hell to learn how to fly. I might have loved it. It was hard as hell, but we worked at it. And so that's the big key, not being good. Because coming from New York, how many good ball players came out of New York that didn't do anything but sit on the corner and drink beer and tell you like 10 years ago, he hit 44 for Lincoln High. Like nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
I don't care. Correct.
Nobody cares.
One of the things we're going to talk about is the art of thought, the art of communication, the art of action. And how many times have I seen it in the street? The art of thought. Oh, man, I think I'm going to do this. Art of communication. Man, I'm going to North Carolina, dog. I'm going to be hitting jumpers from North Carolina. And then the art of action, but you don't go to math class. You flunked out of school. So there's a big one. Having purpose. Whew, that's a big one for me because I truly believe when you have purpose, you can't be stopped. I have a very special wingman, and he was my wingman. It was my daddy. My mother also, but my daddy was my wingman. But my daddy was a wingman to the greatest fighter, well, one of the greatest fighters. He was a wingman to both of them, Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali. And I remember Daddy saying, who could beat Muhammad Ali? Daddy told Sports Illustrated Cassius Clay would kick his ass. But he was an inspiration of both of them. So here's a wingman story. They were going to fight Sonny Liston for the championship. I think the champ was 21 years old. And that's when Daddy came up with float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Ah, rumble, young man, rumble. Ah, the champ was motivated and they were psyched up. And when they got to the fight started. And all of a sudden, Sonny's Liston's shoulder kind of went out and they put Ben Gay on it. And that Ben Gay got in the champ's eyes. I think it was the 7th round. I'm not sure what round it was. But anyway, it got in his eyes and he was blinded. And he came back to the corner. Listen, Paul, he came back to the corner and said, cut them off. I'm done. I'm blind. I can't see. Now, boxing is different than basketball. There's no timeout. You can't, take a rest, injury timeout. When a fighter comes to your corner and tells you to cut them gloves off, I quit because I can't see. You should cut the gloves off. But instead, My daddy told the champ, he showed him a picture of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because the champ was big into the black Muslims back then. And then he showed him a picture of his wife, Sanji. And then he told him, you told all kids you were going to be the champion of the world. I'm sorry, you can't quit, because you're not fighting for yourself no more. You're fighting for all those people. You said that you were going to beat this man. And by that time, the bell rang, daddy pushed him out, and history was made. And that is a wingman.
That's quite a story. I kind of remember something about his eyes and not being able to see. So,
without a Bundini, there'd be no Ali. And so he's my wingman of the day. Paul, thanks again. Great show. I'll tell you, thank you, everybody, so much for your time. It's the most valuable commodity we have. It's the most valuable commodity we have. And if you want to take away something, today's fact in life was have purpose. Go and explore. You can do anything you want. And if you work at it, you'll be successful. And the key to being successful is having something you do that you get paid for that you don't really think is work, but it's fun. Anything you want to say, Paul?
No, I would just say I give the advice my mother would give to me all the time. Just straighten up and fly right.
We'll end it on that. See you guys later. Thanks for your time again.
Good night.